Franz Stigler looked through his gun sight at the crippled B-17 in front of him. His finger rested on the trigger. One squeeze. That was all it would take. The American bomber would explode, fall from the sky, and Stigler would earn Germany's highest medal, the Knight's Cross. One more kill. That was all he needed, but he did not pull the trigger. Instead, he did something that could get him executed. He protected the enemy, flew beside them, escorted them to safety, and risked everything. December 20, 1943, northern Germany. Early afternoon, the sky was clear and freezing cold. Stigler sat in his Messerschmitt Bf 109 on the runway at Oldenburg Airfield. The engine was running. Hot. Ready. The scramble bell had just rung. American bombers, stragglers from the Bremen raid, damaged planes trying to get home. Easy targets. Stigler's crew chief ran up to the cockpit, gave him the signal. Go, hunt, kill. Stigler nodded, released the brakes. The fighter rolled forward, faster, lifted off. He was alone, no wingman, no formation, just one pilot, one plane, looking for damaged bombers to shoot down. This was not unusual. German fighters often flew alone when hunting stragglers. Damaged bombers could not keep up with their formations. Fell behind, became targets. One fighter was enough to finish them. Quick kill, easy victory, return to base. Standard operation, but Stigler was not thinking about standard operations. He was thinking about the Knight's Cross, Germany's highest military honor, the medal every fighter pilot dreamed of earning. Stigler was close, very close. He had 22 confirmed kills. He needed just one more. 23. That was the number. One more American bomber, one more victory, and the Knight's Cross would be his. He flew low, following the routes the American bombers used, looking for smoke, for damaged aircraft, for targets. Then he saw it. Black smoke in the distance. He turned toward it, got closer. There, a B-17, flying alone, very low, maybe 500 feet above the ground, slow, trailing smoke from one engine. Perfect. Stigler pushed his throttle forward. The Bf 109 went faster. He came up behind the bomber. From below, the blind spot, where tail gunners had trouble seeing, where you could get close without being shot. He checked his guns. Loaded, armed, ready, 20mm cannons, machine guns, enough to destroy a bomber in seconds. He looked at the B-17's tail, at the tail guns. They were not moving, not tracking him. Strange. Tail gunners always moved their guns when fighters approached. Always. Even if they did not shoot. Even if they were out of bullets. They moved the guns, tried to scare you off. But these guns just hung there. Dead, not moving at all. Stigler moved closer, looked harder, and then he saw why. The tail section was destroyed, torn apart, huge holes, metal bent and ripped. The guns were smashed, and the tail gunner, he could see the position, see what was left. Nobody could be alive in there. Nobody. He moved his fighter to the right side of the bomber, came up alongside, wanted to see the full damage, and what he saw shocked him. The entire right side of the B-17 was ripped open, holes everywhere, big holes, not bullet holes, cannon holes, shell holes. You could see inside the plane, see the crew, see men moving, see blood. The nose was blown apart. The plexiglass was gone, just empty space, wind blowing straight through. The ball turret underneath was hanging loose. Not turning, jammed or broken. The waist gun positions had massive holes, and through one of those holes, Stigler saw something that made him stop thinking about shooting. A man, an American, sitting on the floor inside the plane, holding his leg, blood everywhere. The man looked up, saw the German fighter right outside, just a few feet away. Their eyes met. The American did not look scared, did not try to grab a gun, just looked, tired, in pain, waiting. Stigler moved his fighter forward, alongside the cockpit. He could see the pilots now, see them clearly. The pilot on the left was young, blood on his face, blood on his jacket, wounded, but still flying, still holding the controls. The co-pilot next to him looked terrified. Both of them saw the German fighter, saw Stigler looking at them, and they waited. Waited for him to shoot, waited to die. Stigler's thumb was on the trigger, the firing button, one push. The guns would fire. The cannons, the machine guns. Shells would rip into the cockpit, kill the pilots. The bomber would crash, everyone would die, and Stigler would have his victory. His 23rd kill, his Knight's Cross, everything he wanted. But something stopped him. A memory from years before, when Stigler was learning to be a fighter pilot. His commander was Gustav Roedel, a good man, a real pilot, not a crazy Nazi, just a professional, and Roedel had told his pilots something important, something Stigler never forgot. You are fighter pilots, not murderers. You fight men who can fight back. But if I ever see you shoot a man in a parachute, I will shoot you myself. Roedel meant it. Shooting men in parachutes was wrong. They could not fight back, could not defend themselves. It was not combat. It was murder, and Roedel would not allow it. Stigler had taken that lesson seriously, made it part of who he was. You fight, you kill in battle, but you do not murder helpless men. And now, looking at this B-17, Stigler realized something. These men were helpless, just like men in parachutes. The guns were destroyed. The crew was wounded. The plane was barely flying. They could not fight, could not shoot back, could not defend themselves. Killing them would not be combat, it would be murder. Stigler took his thumb off the trigger. He could not do it, could not kill them, not like this, but now he had a problem. What do you do with an enemy bomber you decided not to shoot? Just fly away, let someone else find it, let ground guns shoot it down. That felt wrong too. He looked down. They were still over Germany, still in German territory. Anti-aircraft guns everywhere, other fighters in the area. If Stigler just left, this bomber would be dead in minutes. His mercy would mean nothing. He made a decision, a crazy decision. He would escort them, protect them, get them out of Germany, give them a real chance. But that decision was dangerous, more than dangerous. It was deadly. In Germany in 1943, helping the enemy was treason, court-martial, execution, no trial, no mercy, just death. Stigler knew that, knew what he was risking, but he did it anyway. He moved his fighter close to the B-17. Very close, almost touching wingtips. From the ground, it would look like he was guarding a captured plane or escorting a surrender. German anti-aircraft gunners might not shoot, might think the bomber was already captured, might hold their fire. That was the plan, thin, risky, but possible. Inside the B-17, the crew could not believe what they were seeing. A German fighter, right next to them, close enough to touch, but not shooting, not attacking, just flying there. The pilot, Charlie Brown, was confused, scared. What was happening? Why was the German not shooting? Stigler tried to signal Brown, made hand movements, pointed down at the ground. Land, surrender, save your crew, better to be prisoners than dead. But Brown shook his head. No, he kept flying west, toward the North Sea, toward England, toward home. He was not giving up. Stigler understood. He would do the same thing, would try to get home, would not surrender if there was any chance, so he stayed, kept his fighter close, kept escorting, but every second was a risk. Every mile was danger. Below them, German soldiers saw the two planes, a German fighter flying beside an American bomber. Some grabbed binoculars, looked closer, tried to figure out what was happening. Some reached for phones, to call, to report, to ask questions. Stigler knew his time was short. Someone would figure it out. Someone would order him to attack or order him to land. He needed to move fast. The bomber was slow, so slow, maybe 150 miles per hour. The Bf-109 normally flew much faster. Stigler had to slow way down, put his flaps down partway, keep the fighter from stalling. It was awkward, uncomfortable, but he did it. Matched the bomber's speed, stayed close. He checked his fuel gauge. It was dropping. Fast. He had taken off without full tanks. Did not expect a long flight, just quick intercept. Quick kill, quick return. But now he was flying slow, burning fuel, getting far from his base. He did quick math in his head. He had enough fuel to reach the coast. Maybe, if nothing went wrong, it would be very close. That was another risk. If he ran out of fuel over the ocean, he would have to bail out into the North Sea in December, in freezing water. That was a death sentence. Nobody lasted more than a few minutes in water that cold, but Stigler did not turn back. He kept flying, kept protecting the bomber. He had committed, had to finish. Minutes passed, felt like hours. Stigler's head was moving constantly, looking around, watching for anti-aircraft fire, watching for other German fighters, watching his fuel gauge, watching the bomber, making sure it stayed in the air. Everything could go wrong at any second. Then something did. Another plane appeared. In the distance, coming closer, Stigler's heart jumped. Friend or enemy, German or American, he could not tell yet, too far away. But as it got closer, he recognized it. FW-190, a German fighter, one of his own. The FW-190 was coming toward the B-17, setting up to attack. The pilot had not seen Stigler yet, or had not understood what was happening. He was going to shoot the bomber. Stigler had to act, fast. He broke away from the B-17, flew straight at the FW-190, aggressive, fast. The FW-190 pilot saw him coming, broke off his attack, turned away, maybe confused, maybe cautious, maybe thinking Stigler had claimed the kill already. Whatever the reason, the FW-190 left, flew away. Stigler turned back to the B-17, returned to his escort position. But that encounter cost him. Cost time, cost fuel, cost stress. His hands were shaking now, not from cold, from fear, from tension. This was the most dangerous thing he had ever done, more dangerous than any combat, because if he was caught, if anyone understood what he was doing, he was dead. The coast appeared ahead. The North Sea, dark water, cold, rough, the border. Once the bomber crossed into international waters, it would be out of German airspace, safer, not safe, but safer. Stigler's job would be done. He could turn back, try to survive, try to explain, or try to hide what he had done. The B-17 crossed the coastline. Flew over the beach, over the water, out to sea. Stigler stayed with it a little longer, making sure it was really leaving, making sure it had a chance. Then he knew he had to go, had to turn back now. His fuel was critical, almost empty. If he did not leave right now, he would not make it back. He pulled alongside the bomber one last time, looked at the American pilot, the young man who had been waiting to die, who was alive because Stigler chose not to kill him. Their eyes met. Stigler raised his hand, a salute, pilot to pilot, man to man. Charlie Brown, shocked, raised his hand too, returned the salute. Then Stigler pulled away, rolled his fighter, turned east, back toward Germany, back toward his airfield, back toward danger. The flight back was tense. His fuel gauge was in the red. The warning light was on. The engine could quit any second, but it kept running, kept going. The airfield appeared. He had just enough fuel, just enough. He landed, taxied in, shut down the engine, sat there, breathing, thinking, processing what he had just done. His crew chief ran up. "Did you get it? Did you shoot it down?" Stigler shook his head. "No, gun jam, could not fire." A lie, but necessary. He could not tell the truth, could not say he let an enemy bomber go, could not say he escorted it to safety. That would mean death. So he lied, and kept lying for decades, never told anyone, not his friends, not his family, not other pilots. He buried it, kept it secret. Because in 1943 Germany, what he did was unforgivable. Treason, helping the enemy, letting bombers escape. All of that meant execution. So Stigler stayed silent, carried the secret alone. But the risk he took was real. Every second of that escort was deadly. If anti-aircraft guns had fired, he could have been hit. If another German fighter had attacked, he would have been in the crossfire. If his fuel had run out, he would have died in the ocean. If anyone on the ground had understood what he was doing, he would have been arrested, court-martialed. Shot, the escort lasted maybe 15 minutes. 15 minutes of flying beside an enemy bomber, but those 15 minutes were the most dangerous of Stigler's life. Not because of enemy fire, not because of combat, but because of what he was risking. His career, his life, his honor, everything, and he did it for strangers, for enemies, for men he did not know. Men who were trying to kill his country, men who had just bombed German cities. But Stigler saw them as men, not targets, not enemies, just wounded men in a dying plane, and he could not kill them. For 46 years, Stigler lived with that secret, wondered if it mattered, wondered if the Americans survived, wondered if his risk was worth it. Then in 1990, he got a letter from Charlie Brown, the pilot of the B-17, the man Stigler had saved. Brown had been looking for Stigler for decades, placed ads, asked questions, searched, and finally found him. They talked on the phone, compared memories, everything matched. The damage, the escort, the salute. It was real. After 46 years, they connected. They met in person, two old men, former enemies. Stigler learned that all 9 men who were alive when he found them survived, made it home, lived full lives, had families, children, grandchildren, all because Stigler chose mercy, all because he took that risk, all because he flew that escort. Brown asked why did you do it? Stigler's answer was simple. I could not kill you, you were helpless, it would have been murder. But he also admitted the fear. I was terrified, every second, I knew what I was risking, but I did it anyway, because it was the right thing. The escort was not heroic in the traditional sense. No combat, no shooting, no glory, but it was brave, maybe braver than any combat, because Stigler risked everything, not for his country, not for orders, not for medals, but for conscience, for humanity, for doing what was right even when it could cost him his life. How did a German fighter escort an American bombing crew safely out of Germany? By risking everything, by ignoring orders, by choosing mercy over duty, by putting humanity over hatred. For 15 minutes, Franz Stigler flew beside an enemy bomber and gave 9 men a chance to live, and those 15 minutes defined who he was. Not a killer, not an executioner, but a man, a pilot, someone who chose right over easy, even when it could have killed him.